Yes. Good morning. God bless you. We love you. Good afternoon. God bless you. We love you. Good evening.
Yes.
God bless you. We love you. We don't know what time you're going to be watching this, but those who watch this are going to be blessed. Good morning. Welcome to Good Conversations. We just got finished praying about expectations, but now we're
Yes.
going to talk about leading from those expectations, wise humility versus pseudo superiority and
Mm-hmm.
brutality. And Ron, was you were bringing up a documentary that you were watching. What was the name of it again?
It's called Reclaiming the Throne.
Reclaiming the Throne. In other words,
Yeah.
there's been a reclamation that needs to happen, and
Yes.
of conditioning, because of conditioning, our expectations were low. We have a targeting system where purpose is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
God, we have a God. Sin is called missing the mark, right? And
Yes.
so that means we're supposed to stay on target. But sometimes there are things that influence what the target is. Sometimes we're given false information for what the target is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the winds. If you've ever had to shoot a bow and arrow or fire a gun, you know that the atmosphere plays
Yes.
a serious role in you being
Absolutely.
able to hit the target. And sometimes you've been brought up in an atmosphere where negativity is normal,
Mm-hmm.
where feeling less or being less is one thing to be humble. It's another thing to be humiliated.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
and sometimes there's a built-in humiliation that causes people to not pursue what they
Mm-hmm.
truly expect to see, or it taints or corrupts what they expect to see. And you need hope, you need wisdom, you need to reclaim the throne, as that documentary was apparently is talking about.
Yes.
Get into rightful position, because you know who's supposed to be on the throne, right? And who
Mm-hmm.
needs to reclaim the throne. This world wants someone else on the throne. That's why
Yes.
the monuments have people, presidents, and what have you, sitting on big chairs. But the real, the real monumental change, the real transformation happens when your heart becomes a throne and
Mm-hmm.
Christ is sitting on it. It humbles you. It humbles you. So, with that said, with everything going on in the world right now in the Middle East, Israel, I should say, purported Israel, there's the state, the purported state of Israel, and the Palestinians are hot at it again. There was a drone strike. There were missiles fired. Things are
Mm-hmm.
happening, and we know that there will be wars and rumors of war. And people are fighting for supremacy. People, there's a when nations are talked about, there's this word sovereignty. Oh,
Right.
sovereign nations, and
Mm-hmm.
this fight over sovereignty, um, kind of causes people who are innocent to not kind of. It causes people who are innocent to pay the price.
Yes.
And when you live in that fear of something possibly happening to you, your expectations shift into paranoia and fear. And he tells us throughout the word to fear not.
Right.
So let's get the conversation started. You know, why is it so important for us to operate in wise humility? We got the four policemen in Memphis who there's an internal war going
Mm-hmm.
on, and I think like I said to Ron before, Bruce. Sherlock, that we need to go there sometimes, and sometimes we just need to go there. The leader of that band apparently is associated with a leader in a Greek fraternity, and one of them ones that are most noted in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And the chapter that he was head of often hazed.
Mm-hmm.
So the practice in hazing and brutality was fostered, and now on film, black officers
Mm-hmm.
brutalized a brother to the point of death, and it causes us to pause.
Yeah.
Let's start talking. Let's start talking.
You know what? You know what we're looking at, and I think it's being brought to the surface now. And I had that unction in my spirit; it was going to show up sooner or later. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Daddy will let things be orchestrated in a way that
Uh-huh.
brings exposure. Um, I think months ago, I think you may have heard me say it. I said I heard in the spirit the word exposure is coming. The things that
Mm-hmm.
have been hidden for so well and have manipulated and cause people to think a certain way, to operate a certain way, to act a certain way was going to be brought to the surface, like in the Oz. Behind
Right.
the curtain, there was this voice that had created this atmosphere of fear to those who heard the voice. They thought there was this great being behind the fence. I mean, behind the curtain. And here we have this little dog, littlest
Mm-hmm.
thing out there, runs over there and pulls the curtain back and exposes this little guy working with this machinery that
Yes.
gave an indication of something that was not as fearful as it was made to believe. And the word
Yes.
fear with me, I turned it around to say facing everything in a rise. Instead of being fearful of something, face those things that you need to face that you may arise. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking at with those five officers, we're looking at internalized racism and the scary two words, self-hatred. We've been
Yes.
we've been so indoctrinated to the point that as they said in the Willie Lynch speech, that he would train those slave masters and slave owners, because there's two different kinds. People don't understand that. They think it's one and the same. It's two. But they
Mm-hmm.
would train the slave so well that they would no longer have to worry about doing anything to the slaves themselves physically, because the slave's mind would be so enslaved he would do it to himself. And that would keep him where they needed him to be. But the part of it that a lot of people missed was he said with confidence at the end of his letter, if you do
Mm-hmm.
this correctly, the slave will be bound this way for at least the next 300 years. And have we
Yeah.
not seen that letter more than I can say actually manifest in our times? And
Yeah.
the key is self-awareness. If you don't know who you are and you don't know
Mm-hmm.
where you come from, and you allow me to tell you who you are, like in the movie Roots, where Kunta Kinte was hung and beat, and to all of the radiance of who he was created by the creator to be was beat out of him, that
Mm-hmm.
just to survive he was willing to please his oppressor by saying the name he wanted him to say. But if you looked on his face, not just the movie as a whole, the scene, but if you looked at the internal parts on his face, he'd been broken from the manhood that had been installed in him by the creator. But if you bring that forward, if you go in the scriptures and you look at Deuteronomy 28, and you
Mm-hmm.
start from that 15th verse on down to that 68, it expounds on all of this in front
Mm-hmm.
of us. Everybody is asking why. Why do we as a people go through what we go through on a daily basis? Why are we hated by everybody? Why are we mistreated? Why are we always on the bottom of the totem pole? Why is it that we can't never get ahead? And when we try, we still wind up going through problems. Like if you take the situations with the different black towns from Tulsa, which is well known, Rosewood is well known, to 60 other black towns in America that you were made aware of that was successful, where we had what we call this Black Wall Street all the way across America. Why did it bloom up and then all of a sudden was taken from the people? It's the fulfilling of scripture that says that in these days, no matter what you did, you could not go back to top where you were until I released you because I allowed you to go into this because you would not do what I told you to do as a people. So now
So
we
you're
see that
saying,
manifest. Yes.
so you're saying that this is the result of curses. I want to let Elder
Yes. Charlotte, please,
Sherlock in
please.
because you know he's going to bring Christ in,
No,
and I love he's always timely with that. Come on, Elder, come on, Elder.
no, no. This, of course, is just my opinion.
Yes.
To Ron's all of the questions he asked, why? We know why.
Yes.
That's number one. We know why. The other part I'm gonna say is it may not sound right to you, but this, of course, is my opinion. Where we make our mistake at, or we do too much talking, and we have all the tools in place and what
Mm-hmm.
have you, but we spend too much time talking, and we don't strategize and say at this point, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so what
Exactly.
what happened is, if that was the case, that fellow would be living today. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
In a few weeks, this is going to cool off, and then you're going
Mm-hmm.
to have
As
another
always.
situation.
As
Mm-hmm.
always.
You see what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Yes.
it takes a combination. And when I say this, it takes a combination of the church, activists. It takes a combination because it's a very complex thing.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you get with these people that spearhead these things, and you get the egos involved, and
Yes.
because this happens in church with people egos.
Yes. Yes.
And see that the humility aspect of it goes out the window, so you don't get nothing accomplished.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's why I say it's very complex. And I mean, man, it's this been going on too long. And because now you got to remember the enemy. This is how he works. He's sitting back laughing
Mm-hmm.
because
Of
he knows.
course.
Yeah.
In fact, the enemy even know that you know that you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It- he's not doing but just yanking your chain.
Mm-hmm.
But until we get to that point, enough is enough. And I'm not talking about being destructive in any way.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about every part of our society,
Mm-hmm.
institutions, and what have you, need
Mm-hmm.
to strategize.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Say this is it, and this is go from that standpoint. That's just
Yes.
my
Yes.
opinion.
Now, let me say, and I know I'm going to pass it to get in here. I'm going to speak to that to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
This is a part of who I am. This is what God has anointed me to do
Yeah,
this work.
yeah.
And He's allowed me to see things from the
Hmm.
spiritual and the natural of how this
Okay.
works together. The reason why, and this is not the whole church, but I'm gonna lay some blame. My, I ain't holding back. I ain't scared. As they
I
say,
know.
I ain't scared. I'm
Scourge.
going. Yeah, I ain't scared. There it is. I ain't scared. I'm gonna lay this out there. Your number one body that should be leading the charge is standing in the background, peeking around the wall.
Hmm.
My problem
Oh.
is why? What's your problem?
Ah. I,
What's your problem? You
I, I,
should have been stepped out time ago, but you know why you can't? Because you've compromised yourself.
mm.
You compromised yourself and you can't find your way back now. When you have leaders that have titles, and you know how I feel about titles, you already know Phil, Pastor
I'm
already know
going.
where I'm going.
You
When
know
you
where I'm gonna
have
go.
titles and That's whole livelihood. That the first time somebody meets you and shake your hand, the first thing come out your mouth is my name is deacon, my name is pastor, my name is bishop. Then that tells me that without your title, you don't feel you have relevance. So you just negated everything that the master, the father, created in you. He didn't create you with a title. He gave you gifts and abilities then before the title came. The title was supposed to help reform some stuff to give you the ability to walk through doors so the gift and abilities would be seen. But every time we see these situations, the only time we see the folks with the title show up is when it's time to get in front of the mic. But when the mic is not there and the cameras are off, with the influence they're supposed to have, they can make a difference in the community. Now, I'm not going to lead his name,
Yeah,
but my
yeah,
issue is this. You have enough people in your organization that tomorrow wanted to walk through every neighborhood. If you wanted to stand in front of every politician's office, you can shake them at the very core and the root of their being and make some stuff change. Because just the power of the presence of those who would follow you because of who you are is a statement in itself. What did Brother Malcolm X do years ago? You saw it in the movie, but it was true what they did. They jumped on this Muslim brother, beat him beyond accord, and took him to the precinct. Malcolm and his second in command walked in the precinct and stood in front of these arrogant folks in these uniforms who thought, who dared this black man to walk in here and have a conversation with us like he belongs in here? He didn't blink. He told them the brother was there and told them, we need to see him. They said, no, you don't. You don't come in here. You know where this is at? Oh, you didn't get the message? He said, look out the window. The police officer pulled the curtain open and saw three lines of brothers well dressed standing in unison in military position. And they all looked up at the window at the same time he opened up the curtains. That act, never a hand raised, never a weapon fired, never a cuss word out their mouths, impacted them enough to say, you know what, we better let this man see who he is. He can't see. Their whole arrogance changed in a second. That message that was sent from that position of authority was felt by those who understood what authority meant. We have lost that right there. But I'll say this and I'm going to get out the way. It's
okay.
not going to come from the ones at the top. Daddy
No,
is using those on the bottom. He's using the grassroots now to get through what needs to be gotten through so that things can fall in place. The new thing we call the new black media, they have not been brought out by the powers that be on the other side. They are speaking truth to power, and it is moving power.
so the only thing I just want to interject in there, when we're talking about, when I'm talking about full representation in our society, it is representing the marginalized, because everybody has a seat at the table. That's why I say egos got you got to throw that out. Everybody has a seat at the table because it is a problem. And what we're talking about is a problem that impact everyone. So you have to have the pimps, the prostitute, because these people have power, influence. So you can't just say it has to be the church and this civic leaders and this, that, and the other. It has to be everybody because it's a common problem to humanity. So everybody every segment of our society need to have a voice and need to be heard.
Um, what role does Nimrod have in this? Because I was intentional. I was intentional to say what I said in the beginning. Um, People who understand what I'm saying is they're gatekeepers
Yes, there are.
to maintain the same
Mhm.
way that you were talking about Kunta Kinte and slavery. That very often the whip was in the hand of a
Come
black
on now.
man
Come on.
trained
Yes.
to brutalize his own.
Yes.
Police came
Uh,
out the KKK.
Hallelujah. And
Come on,
and
brother.
and and, and when we're dealing with abuse within
Yeah.
the home, you're dealing with the same Nimrod, Cain mentality.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah.
So this is something sown in the flesh. And believe it or not, this conversation can be had in the same communities that consider themselves superior.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Right.
Because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
there's brutality. The same ones who desire equality also are struggling with brutality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a commonplace in
And
their lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked why Nimrod plays a role in this is because the separation and the preparation for evil happen
Yes.
then.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the division happens with that at the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
For those who know I'm speaking in code, that's very
Yeah.
intentional
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
also on YouTube.
Exactly.
That certain people who will put bricks in place
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
say so over a mindset that and the greatest, the truest fraternity and sorority is the body.
Mm-hmm.
That is the real brotherhood and
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood is the body. And the body has been influenced, led, and gatekept
Yes.
by some
Go to that.
who've leaned to the Nimrod leading.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking in code intentionally because line steppers
Hmm.
become line steppers.
Come on now. Come on now. Woo. Mm-mm-mm.
So,
You know, hazing is happening in homes.
Yes. Yes.
Hazing is happening in schools.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hazing is happening in society. Hazing
Mm-hmm.
is happening. We just look at the fraternities and sororities and say, oh, that there's hazing and what have you. But it's a mentality that has been fostered. You talked about the Willie Lynch letter. That some would be. We talked about manumissions before.
Mm-hmm.
Meritorious
Mm-hmm. Mandatory
manumissions.
admissions. Yep.
Meritorious manumissions. Where there was an advantage given to selling out.
Mm-hmm.
To
Jingle.
brutally selling
see,
out. To
Jingle.
I, I, I just want to get this in there is
yes,
that
yes.
what I'm hearing from you, at least what I think I'm hearing, I will put it this way. They don't have enough stones because they say, oh, he without sin.
Cats.
So they don't have enough rocks.
Yeah. They don't. You right on point. They don't. They
Yeah,
don't.
and the reason why I'm saying it, see, that's the problem.
Mhm.
That's because there again, it's human behavior.
Yes,
You
Mm-hmm.
see,
Yes. Yes.
behavior. So
yes.
you can't expect the police to police themselves. It
No.
is, yeah, but still, I guarantee you, as long as you know me, we will have this conversation again before the year is out.
Hmm.
Oh,
Because
expected to.
that's what, yeah, because I said it's a problem. We know how the problem
Mhm.
can be solved, and why not? Why
Hmm.
why
Because
why hasn't it been addressed?
it's too many pieces there that control, and I'm gonna try to be code mindful as well.
Yeah,
The
Hmm.
society as a whole that if you ever see where you pull, you got that string on that sweater,
Mm-hmm.
and you know
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to cut the string, but if you pull
And
it,
tie a
it's
knot.
going to unravel the whole
Yeah.
sweater. So what's it do
Yes.
with unravels the sweater? It starts to take the sleeve out of its proper alignment. Then it goes
Mm-hmm.
to the center of the sweater, and that goes out of alignment to
Mm-hmm.
eventually the whole sweater is disproportioned from what it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mockery of what it originally was. Well, what happens
Mm-hmm.
is that we have a culture that has been put in place. Here's the problem. Back to as my brother said with the whip. You've been led to believe, and because I worked in that industry for so many years, I saw it from the inside, and it never sat right with me. I had numerous of times where I had to get nose to nose, breath to breath with somebody because they didn't like the fact I didn't want to get down like that,
Okay.
and I wasn't getting down like that. And
Mm-hmm.
we can always go back to the precinct and back to the headquarters and go and take that equipment off and get in there and do some exercise. You know, as we say, I ain't scared. You know, so
I skirt.
so when you see you've been told this atmosphere is the general atmosphere in which everyone is supposed to work in,
Mm-hmm.
and you forget that you don't look like that other guy. So
Mm-hmm.
you think it's okay to do what that other guy do. But then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you get your a certain word wake up call, as them
Mm-hmm.
five gentlemen got. Because
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I saw in that, of course, all of us were appalled
Mm-hmm.
that this young man's life was brutally done to the way it was done. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you
Yes.
stripe, purple, blue, polka dot. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
The fact you did it was wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
what was over the top was is that it was five that could have been his brothers because
Yeah.
they could not see the culture of this situation because they were indoctrinated into a culture that told them it's okay to do this because this is the culture in our community. It didn't start the last 5 years. It has been there
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes.
years, never talked about, never dealt with. But now, because we have modern technology, stuff is being pushed out there at a speed that goes beyond what we can almost comprehend. But the key of it is that stood out is you see how fast them brothers were thrown up under the bus.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see
And
how fast they were indicted,
yes.
fast those charges were brought up. That was a reminder that because we told you you could do it, don't mean you gonna get us backing you after you do it. Where's the
Thank you.
police union now?
Now,
Where's all the ones hiding names and keeping pictures out the press? And they done went all into them brothers' backgrounds almost to the time their mama put pampers on them.
now, let me
But
ask you this. Let me ask you
yes,
this.
sir.
What law do they have on the books that authorize a police officer to brutalize someone like that? What did
There
now?
is
My point is this: they claim he did he infracted a traffic violation. It's not commensurate. I don't care what. I don't. They can't justify it. That's the
you
point.
can never justify those actions. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
First of all, we know this called a 5 point control of escalation for a confrontational situation that an officer is trained to move by, from the minimum to the over the top. There's
Hmm.
5 controls. In that very first one, it is verbal and commands.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it is, if need be, hands. After that, it is that what's on your tool belt, either that spray or that baton.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's a little bit more, but that fifth one is where
Mm-hmm.
that weapon that can take life comes out.
Hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
first thing you see them do is what now? When they walk up, they automatically got their hand on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what tells you that what's happening that has changed that mindset? It is the demographics of where they are. You take somebody who lives in Spain and expect them to come to Watts and know how to relate to the people of that culture, two totally different cultures. And if
Mm.
that person has been trained to think and believe a certain way about this demographic of people, that's what they're bringing to the table. Now, in this situation, these young men are in an element where they've been told, because we got this one color on that we all wear, this is how we all operate. And they know the element is that if you look like one of us and you buck that system, you might have some problems. Now, I ain't gonna say you might, you are going to have some problems. It's
Mm-hmm.
up to you, could lose your life. So they go along to get along, forgetting that at the end of the day, you are still a pawn on the chessboard to be used by those in authority. And when they're finished with you, they throw you to the side. Like a man, I'm not going to say who he is, said, when white supremacy is finished with you, they throw their tools to the side.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
now you're finding that out. So now, but I think what it has done, I believe that it has shook something in our to begin to start self-evaluating ourselves online that most of us either ignored or we kind of brushed off. But now we have to look at ourselves and go, what is in us so deep that we would destroy our own like that? And not the part of enjoy it, but actually come to the point to justify it in the midst of where we're seeing such shit come against our people and people in general all over the world at a time that we have not seen in our lifetime. That maybe
Mm-hmm.
our elders saw in their days, but now we are seeing again. What is this self hatred that has been built? To my brother's point, Nimrod. Yes.
Yep. Uh, um. Um. Sometimes the worst, the one who was denied access sometimes becomes the watchdog in perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it becomes the gatekeeper, the one who seeks approval.
Yes.
Um, very often it's not the top gangster you have to worry about.
Nope.
It's the street guy who wants to move up,
Yep.
who's willing to do whatever to move up, right? And that's within any organization.
That's
We
right.
talked
That's right.
about the church. We talked about gangs. But it's definitely true in various departments
Yes.
that police and you, the win at all costs too much.
Yes. Yes.
The win
Yes.
at all. What is it that you gain the world and lose your soul applies
Yes.
here just as it does anywhere else.
Well, see,
Mm-hmm.
see that it's one word I haven't heard yet, and I'm gonna throw it in there.
Go ahead.
And you haven't seen it, and I haven't seen it. And it's called equality. It's called
Yeah.
equality.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
is it?
But think
Have you ever
about that
seen
word.
it?
Sherlock, think
I'm
about
just,
that word now.
yeah.
I'm just saying, where have you seen it?
That's the hot potato right there. You can't get equality from someone who doesn't see you as equal. And the reason they don't see you as equal is because it is based on a evil that is operating in
That,
someone. Back
yes.
to Nimrod. Back to yes, sir. Go ahead, Jerry.
I'm gonna say even more. The reason that they don't see you as equal because you value their sight more than your own. You're
And your
worried
own.
about
Come
what
on
they
now. Come on now. What
they
they
don't see you as equal because you don't see you as equal.
yes, yes. And I'm gonna throw another one on top of that. They know who you are better than you know who you are.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
but
yeah.
when you look, because
who
history has, yes, history
fault
has
is that?
proven that you are the author of civilization. Everything
Mm,
that the world has known and has come to know started with you. And the history books prove it, the real history books. All the information is there. All the documentation is there.
Mm-hmm.
Those who were there when those things happened have left record of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
sitting right in front of our face. Why do you think they have a problem wanting to take you back beyond slavery when they
Yeah.
tell you about Black history? Why does February, the shortest month in the year, been allotted to you as your history month? And you get the same 100 characters year after year after year, as though they're the only ones that ever achieved anything as a people. I
But
mean, I
but
could
what?
do a history class myself, and the stuff I
Mm-hmm.
would drop jewels on would probably mess people up because they've never been taught the truth of history. I give you an example. You got Mr. Ford, who's supposed to be the
Mm.
car man, right?
No.
Now, the way they worded stuff, and you got to look at how stuff is worded to find out
Mm-hmm.
what's real and what's not. He is the author of the assembly line.
Right.
Yes.
He is not the maker of the vehicle.
Right.
Those are two black men that did that, called the Patterson brothers.
Patterson, brother. GP Patterson. GP
Yes,
Patterson. Yeah.
they are the ones that, but you'll never see that good. Same thing with
Yeah.
the Wright brothers with flying. They are
Mm-hmm.
allotted that they are the first ones to fly. No, again, two brothers did that, but they're not going to get that. You can, I mean, if you want to look at alcohol, look at what's that brand? Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels,
Didn't
yeah.
it
Yeah.
just come out 5 years ago? That
Yes.
the dude that got that recipe and gave it to him to make it a winner was
But
was his assistant, a black man, Mr.
but
Edison, the
Edison. That was
so-called the so-called maker of light. His assistant is the one that did that and went on, and
the
I forgot the
filament.
number
Yeah.
of other patents that he put together, but it was in the multiple figures of
so
patents this man brought out that has
Mm-hmm.
affected mankind and impacted mankind in every way. Just recently, a black woman is the one that's responsible for the GPS system that is
Mm-hmm.
used all around the world, and the makings of the things that make your smartphone work. Come on.
now let me just say this: you started off with evil, and that is it. Because
Yes,
do you realize how much money has been spent and will be spent just to distort a targeted race of people?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not,
absolutely,
now,
brother.
now,
A lot of
Absolutely.
energy and effort.
I'm just saying the money. I'm just saying we lose our way around because it's the money that's being spent, and then people are paid these big salaries to do that. See what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. It's
We
So
intentional.
we
yeah,
saw we
right,
saw it
right.
with Kyrie. We saw it with Kyrie.
You, oh
Listen.
man,
That was the character assassination was you push a gatekeeper. You push a gatekeeper.
he couldn't help himself. I knew you were gonna go there sooner or later. Woo! Alrighty
to
now.
call him to call him all kinds of idiots for a post where he put no words to it.
Yes.
That's
Come on now. No words.
no word.
Just posting it. No words. But
No
the
words.
same, but here's the crazy thing. The people that put it on their platform were never addressed in any shape, form, or manner. And the very man that put his foot in his mouth
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
was
Yep.
responsible for having a whole theater that showed the film.
Yep.
Was that addressed about that to him? Nope. Now,
Love him too. That's what
oh
hurts me because
yeah,
I
I
love him.
mean,
I
I
love
always
him.
thought he's had a gold, man, towards people from his place of status. But it's still no excuse that when it comes time for us, as we like to say, and it's the word we need to use, be on code. Like everybody else
Mm-hmm.
know how to get on code.
Yeah.
We don't know how to get on code, man.
Nope.
We we
Well,
Nope.
we create division, and I'm gonna say this. It says I had something written. I said, what you feel affects what you think and do. What you think is affects what you feel, and
Mhm.
and your thinking and your perception and what you do. What you think affects what you do. Your actions. So
Mhm.
when you're looking for dignity, when you're looking for identity, when you're
Mhm.
looking for validation, when you're looking for
Mhm.
recognition, it
Mhm.
depends on where you reaching to find it. The
Mhm.
society we live in has trained us to only reach in a certain avenue, which means you have to tear self and replace it with an artificial meaning of who they say you should be instead of who the creator created you to be.
Yep.
Now, I just want to throw this in here before I go on. It's values. I'm gonna throw that word out there,
There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
There you
and and
go.
I,
There you go. Yes, sir.
and I can give you a good analogy what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Do you remember when the NAACP needed only $1 million? They were $1 million in the red. Do y'all remember that? That was like in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They were in need of $1 million.
Mhm.
How in the world can you need $1 million? They needed the $1 million when you got 20 million people. That really means that you should be 19 million in the black if everybody gave $1. You see
But
what I
but
mean? So that's what I mean by values. I mean, this really happened. And so what once that get on media as it did
mhm.
then the enemy they laughed. They said they got it real bad. They only needed one
Oh yeah.
million, but it's 20 million of
Elder Sherlock,
them.
even the formation
Yeah,
of
of
the
that. Yeah, which a lot of
NAACP,
people don't know.
no, that it's actually not an African American or black organization.
Organization. That's right.
Though there be pushed black folks up front,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But the ones that truly is in the background.
that formed it, that
Yep.
formed it, that formed it, are not African American. I'll just stop there and
Right.
say they're not
They're not.
African
We ain't gonna
American.
say who, but we just gonna say
I,
they're not.
I, 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 I'll give you another example.
uh,
Did any of you guys go to the Million Man March?
Oh, fully
I was
aware of it.
at both.
Yeah.
I was
Uh,
at both.
Mm-hmm.
it was the most that experience. I mean, just to see that
Hmm.
and black men from across all walks of life.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when they passed that, put whatever you had in the money in the donation there in the
Mm-hmm.
basket. Nobody took $1 out. Nothing was missed. Even before that, they tried to say it wasn't a million people.
Of
But my
course not.
point,
That's how the media
Right.
gonna do.
my point is the power that we have in ourselves. We see it. We saw it then, but we don't never take it to the next level. We will do that in the negative. Right now, it wouldn't take that many people to get out here and say, look, because of this situation that happened in Memphis, we're gonna start turning up things. They do it that way. It won't. It don't take that much
But
money.
but think about that right
See what I
there.
mean?
Even
That is
that right there is self destruction because if they decided to go out there and do that, what community they gonna do it in?
Their
You
own.
and I both know they
yeah,
own. They ain't going 10 miles to the right. They ain't going 10 miles to the left
yeah.
because they know what they better not. They
Yeah,
better not.
but I keep on saying I want to leave, but stop, I got to stop. Leave it at 9:30
Okay.
though. But anyway,
Yeah,
but
we
what I want to say, this is the point I want to make. The thing that we are getting at is so entrenched in our way of life. How is
Mhm.
it that in a group of people to have it on TV, here's a guy with an assault weapon. He shoots three or four people, and the cops
See, you
stop
done took it
him.
right out my
Okay,
mouth. I was getting ready to go
okay.
there next
But here come a man. He goes into Walmart to buy a rifle, and the next thing you know, he's dead. He's going out to the parking lot to
because
he's dead.
he didn't fit the right crayon. He didn't fit the right crayon. See, the guy with the right crayon, you got to remember this. Now, I'm going to take this
Mhm.
real quick and see if I can do it real fast. I went back and did some research on certain migrations of our people after certain things happened and where they started going. And I specifically started looking, where did the folks like us that left and up into Europe, where did they go? Some of them went into lands that to this day they don't want you to know. Lands called Ireland, Britain, Scotland, and they ruled. The very author of what we call the Bible, the Word of the Most High, the 66 books called the King James Bible. Do you understand that king looked like you? And he was King James the sixth for Scotland and Ireland, but he brought Britain, Ireland, and Scotland into one, where he became King James the first.
Mhm.
There were rulers of those lands for 6 centuries before you saw that change come. Now, in the midst of that change, it was after the 1700s. What happened in the 1700s? Did we not see those who say they were prosecuted because of their religious beliefs leave that land and come west to what we now are sitting in now and say they came here because they had been oppressed and
Persecuted.
persecuted? But the whole situation was this was for who and who alone. That people called that C word was written for who and who alone. Let me give you now something to sit on and meditate on, something to feed off. Do you think the reason why you dealt with the way you dealt with is because they were coming up from under your rule where they were and could not have rights and rules the way they wanted to? So they figured if we can't rock the way we want to rock here, we're going to go find us someplace else to rock. So they came here, but the first thing they did, they established this land as land, their rules, the way they wanted. Anybody that came here had to get down under their rules. But the key thing was you were in church. So any chance that they will allow you to take a position of leadership, it still must fall up under them. You will be above them because they have an internal fear that if I let your butt get up there, it's a wrap for me.
Well, um, there's a lot that goes into the current dynamic,
Yes,
and pseudo-supremacy is one of them.
yes, yes.
It's one of them. But the allergy against the
Mm,
truth.
I like that word. I
People
like
are
that word.
allergic to it. The
Yeah,
allergy.
I like
People are
that word.
allergic
Yeah,
to the truth.
allergic
Right.
to truth. You right about that, brother. Yes, sir. You hit that
So
right on the head.
entertained, so entertained that reality is boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we're gonna close because this conversation is powerful. We pray that
Mm-hmm.
your understanding where our heart is on these things, because though we are releasing some of the awareness and frustrations, if you know anything about Elder Sherlock, Elder Ron, or myself, is that we're hopeful and that we're
Yes,
driven
absolutely.
by the promises. That we
Mm-hmm.
realize that the falling away was part of the promise.
Yes,
That
absolutely. It
these
was said
things
this
will
would happen.
happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, these things will happen. But it doesn't shake our joy.
Nope.
No.
And it
No.
doesn't shake our
Nope.
peace.
Nope.
It doesn't shake our hope.
No. No.
Because we know
But,
how
but,
it
but
turns out in the end.
So
listen, listen. Christ was very intentional not to turn the water into wine for those who were having the party. He
Come
did
on
it
now.
in front of the servants.
Yes.
So we get
Yes.
to see the miracles. We get to appreciate the miracles. It's part of the process.
That's right.
So so there's beauty, there's creativity uh, that comes from out of the difficulty we've gone through and we are
Yes.
going through. Uh, um, our beautiful music, our beautiful art, our beautiful
Yes.
people
Yes. Yes.
come from out of the difficulty. You see,
Hmm.
when you don't have everything handed to you, you must become creative.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
you
And
see,
that's what you're seeing.
I just want to get this in there because you said something, man. You said something that is so true, but it's painful. That the truth is boring, and because we live in a capitalist society, that's where the conspiracy theories. They don't. It's money making.
That that's why the conspiracy is the root of all
The
evil.
foundation,
That's
the
why there are
foundation of this
conspiracies.
whole thing is based off that, man.
Behind every conspiracy is money.
Yes,
That's right.
always,
Right. That's right.
always,
It's all about
always.
money. Yeah.
Is and it's when you're drunk on power and having these things, regardless of whatever it takes to get them, it creates an atmosphere of no balance. There's what does the saying go? Respect is internally generated. And in order for you, you got to understand what are your priorities and your values at the end of the day, because that means you got to self responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you lack that, anything goes.
Yep.
That's right.
At the end
You
of the day,
yep.
anything goes. So
Yep. You're pulled by everything.
yeah, at the balance of every human is those four things: dignity, validation, recognition, and identity. And when we have that, we can operate to the fullness of everything we're supposed to be. Because the root that's going to guide us and lead us in those areas is going to be the presence of our Father.
Amen.
Amen.
And
Amen.
when we don't have that, it leaves us open to the other guy manipulating all those things and using them the way he wants, which creates this what we see.
Well, that's why wise humility overcomes pseudo supremacy. You see, very often people don't want equality; they want to be on top.
Yes.
And out of a group where equality is the goal, you're going to have the select few who want to be superior and are willing to do what it takes
Whatever
to
it takes.
maintain
That's right.
superiority,
That's right.
and that's in every group, and that's where the battles, the wars come into place, because
Mm-hmm.
those who seek equality are beholden or subject to those who seek superiority.
Exactly. So
Hey,
at
And
the end
that's
of the day, they're
you
not going to give you any openings to do what needs to be done if you give them the steering wheel to
the
guide.
Romans,
Yep.
the Herodians, the Pharisees,
Yep.
and the Sadducees.
Yep.
That was who was in power when Christ came.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? That's who's in power again.
Mhm,
It's the same
mhm.
mentality. It comes
Same
from
mentality.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
right, right,
Nimrod, the same
Yeah.
Nimrod mentality.
Same
right.
Nimrod mentality. Still here.
It's still here, but
Yep.
but he came that we should have life and that more abundantly.
More abundantly.
Right? That in spite of the fear not those who can do harm to the body, but fear
Still
him
doing.
that can
Yes.
throw you into hell. I paraphrase of Matthew 5.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
right, who you reverence is who you
Yep.
reference.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
And if you look up to Big Brother Almighty, as as Spike Lee said, you'll be focused on good and bad hair
Yep. That's right.
instead of graduating and blessing others
Yes.
to
Yes.
do well. You'll be
And
focused on the wrong things.
let me put this nugget in there real fast, and then I'm gonna shut my mouth. Always remember, the key to fulfilling your life purpose
Hmm.
is the key to who you are. Daddy placed inside of every single one of us a vision that's designed to give you a purpose and a meaning life. And until you discover that, you cannot be the best and authentic version of who you were created to be. And if we were seeking that instead of these other things,
Hmm.
we'd be in a much better. But the powers that be has made it their job to eliminate that from you. We can't
Hmm.
let you be who you were created to be because that's going to upset the plan we got. We need
Hmm.
you to cooperate by allowing us to indoctrinate, manipulate, educate, and train you into what we believe you should believe is right and go
Yep.
along with the program. And if you
Chattel.
do that, chattel. That's why it's called chattel before the S word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chattel.
yeah.
It's very interesting that you talked about purpose. And guess what? Our king commanded our purpose.
Yes,
You
he did.
see, your purpose is actually commanded.
Yes,
You
it
know what
is.
your
Look at
purpose is?
Jeremiah 29:11.
To
Just one part.
love. Love is commanded.
Right.
Yes.
So your purpose
Yes.
is to love.
That's
Yeah.
And
right.
if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love your
How you gonna love
neighbor?
anybody
Hey,
else? Come on now. Come
you-
on now.
Ron, when you were talking about the sweater and the thread, that thread that you pull out there, that is the common thread to humanity is love.
Come on now, brother. Come on,
Hallelujah.
man. Take that thing and run with
Hallelujah.
it.
And so when it's very fragile, by the way,
Yes,
Yes.
it
very
is. Yes, it is.
oh, and I say it this way. See right now what's happening, what we're dealing with, and things are getting topsy turvy. And I have to be very careful because that common thread that they're yanking on and it's a live wire. People they don't want to bother with it.
Hmm.
They don't want to talk about it. It's so powerful.
Hmm.
But you got to watch out now.
Hmm.
Uh, we have seen what we're dealing with right now, what they call a pandemic. I never in my life thought I would see anything like it.
Hmm.
But then there's a thing called anarchy.
Yep.
Mm,
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
See
People
what I mean?
confuse with
And
freedom.
that,
Hey,
but when you, but see, that sounds. But you know what that amounts to, doesn't it? And I really got to go. When you have anarchy, it's foolishness. It's fools. That's what.
yeah,
That's all. It's
yeah,
because of foolishness.
It's
yeah.
funny, and we're going to close. Years ago, God gave me a rock song, and I'm not even into rock. And it goes like this: We are wise in our own eyes. We call anarchy freedom. We call truth lies.
Yeah.
When will America bless God? When will America bless God? That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm not even into rock, but he gave me that song
I,
years ago.
I just thought I'd mess with. I just thought I would mess with it that way because
Yeah, yeah,
what anarchy is nothing but a mess. Nobody.
Yep.
yeah.
It's nothing but a.
Doesn't it come back to what we call confusion?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, if you don't have if you put something on the stove and that pot is not at the right temperature to boil over, you end up with nothing.
Mm-hmm. There you
Mhm.
go. There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah. Well, look,
Ye-
Yeah.
uh, God bless you guys, and
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, sir.
y'all have a good day.
A
Yes, sir.
great
Great
conversation. A
conversation.
great
Great
conversation.
conversation.
Well,
Stay
we
blessed, my
pray for
brother.
the family of Tyree.
Yes,
We pray
Yeah.
for
yes,
the community of Memphis. We
yes,
pray for all communities,
yes,
that especially those in the body. As right after it says for us to not be weary and well doing, for in due season we reap if we faint not. Right after that it
yes,
says to do good to all men, especially to those of the household of
Uh,
faith.
that's right.
yes, yes,
I was going to say you just pray for everybody, whether they're saved or not. It's the same
Yes,
thing.
yes.
yes, yes,
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so love you all.
We'll see you
Yes,
Uh,
tomorrow.
sir.
see
Back
you
at you,
tomorrow.
man.
Yes, love you all. Shalom.
Shalom.
And
Shalom.
listen, expect great.
Amen.
Yeah. Yes.
Hallelujah.
Always.
Hallelujah. All
Hallelujah.
right.